start with our clauses. And since we're most likely going to be dealing with joins, I'm just going to put the only two clauses that you have to have. For each sale made on June, okay, we're going to be dealing with a date, so we know that we're going to be using entity sale, or sale entity. Show the following information. Okay, so we need to go to our select clause and type the following information that we need, which is customer ID, customer name, and it looks like it's wanting a specific format for the name. It's wanting last name with a comma and then the first name. And it also wants us to assign a name to this new column that we are going to create, and it wants the name to be customer name. We also want to print out sale date, sum of tax, and shipping, and that column name is going to be called tax shipping. And then it wants us to sort by customer last name. I'm not going to do an order by. What I'm going to do is, and I believe that this is going to work, we'll see, but I believe since it's wanting customer last name to be the sort, I am going to make the first column customer last name, because I believe that first attribute that I put right here, I believe will be the first assortment that it'll do, and then it'll move on to whatever's after the first one. So as we read this last sentence that says sort by customer last name, I'm going to go to the select clause and type in I'm going to type last name, and what we're going to do to connect these is I'll put a open parenthesis, I'll put last name, and then it looks like it wanted a comma after the last name. So to insert a comma, I'll do single quote with my comma in the middle, plus sign, and these plus signs, I'm not totally sure if this is going to accept what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure I'm doing it right. But these plus signs normally connect the strings that you're wanting to print or put together per se. So, for example, in other languages such as C#, Java, Python, it's very common to see these plus signs in your printing statements because it connects your variables to whatever words you decide to put inside your quotes. But no need to worry about that. That might be a little too much information for some of you who haven't touched code before. And I'm just going to assume that for the most part my audience hasn't touched code before. So let's just ignore everything that I just said. But okay, so it wants us to sort by the last name first and then whatever after that. But on this highlighted part that I just put, it says last name, comma, and it wants a space. Okay, so that means I'm going to put another single quote, and inside the single quote I'll put a space, plus, so I can connect the, capitalize that, first name, close parenthesis, and I'm going to assign this column a name of single quote because customer name does not look like it has a space between customer and name, so oops, I did not mean to do that. So it doesn't need quotes at all. Now remember, if it were two words, then we would need the double quotes. Let's see. It wanted us to print out a column for customer ID. It wants sale date as well printed. It want sum of tax and shipping as tax shipping. Okay. And it looks like we have attributes within our sale entity that are tax and shipping. So we don't have to put any, I was going to say we don't have to put any math into it, but technically you're using addition. So let's just, I'll show you what this is. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm just going to write it like this to make it easier on us. And I'm going to go ahead and put these within parentheses. And I'm going to assign that addition problem as name tax. I hate how that's not capitalized. Shipping. And once again, there is no empty space between them, so you do not need the double quotes. It still has a continuous form through, so no quotes needed. Again, I was being kind of a smart aleck. I know it's going to want me to use an order by, but I'm being a smart aleck and I'm not going to do that. I just am doing this thing right here. Oh. Let's see. Okay, we need to join our entities. So if you refer back to the previous videos, I went over how to connect the two entities, or for a better word, join the entities. So we start by typing customer entity, and we're going to assign it an alias, C, and we're going to join entity sale, and I want to assign sale entity S. On what do these two entities have in common? What attribute do they have in common? What do they share? Looks like they share customer ID, and what I mean is the attribute customer ID can be found in customer and in sale. So I'm going to type C, customer ID equals S period customer ID, where, and our where has everything to do with this gem right there. June. So let's do the year first. I mean, not the year. Let's do the month first. Ooh. There's actually a shorter way to do this. Do I remember how to do it? Man. I don't know if I'm going to do this correctly, but I'll try it. Okay. Once again, it's getting mad at me because, and I believe I hit on this on my last video, but the attribute customer ID is found in two different entities, and it happens to be two entities that we've joined together. So whenever the computer's reading through our clauses, it gets to customer ID and it's like, hey now, I know that you're wanting information from customer ID, but what entity do I need to be pulling information customer ID from? So it needs us to explicitly say, I want you to pull information from either customer entity or sale entity. And remember that we've made aliases right here, S and C, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I want you to pull information or entity instance from customer ID attribute from customer entity. So let's see if this yells at me again. Looks like it's printed some things. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and see if I made 100 on this first. I'm going to do 60. Why is it bad? Okay. I know one thing that I did that it did not want was, instead of putting the space right here, which I so could have done to make this cleaner, I went ahead and just made a space right here. I think that's why it's yelling at me, because I was like, why did you do that? T and S, that's not even what it wanted. I did the date right, which I totally thought I was not going to get right. I'm going to go ahead and say, for the most part, it's screaming at me because I was being a smart aleck and did not put quarter by. But before I do this, I do want to show you guys, and I hope I'm right, that it's already going to sort by customer name first. Ooh. Sometimes when you're being a smart aleck and then you get slapped in the face. Right. Finds out that I was completely wrong. I'm sorry. Okay, it wants us to sort by last name. So I'll put last name. And I made 100. Okay. I was being a smart aleck. I could have sworn that that would have been correct. Anyways, I do want you guys to see something real quick. I'm going to delete this because I want to see the answer. And that's the same thing with code. The beautiful thing about code is there is not just one way to do things. Just like dividing a problem. You can do it long division, or you can do it the short way. And I don't know if that's I hope you guys understand that there is just the awesome thing about code is that there is not one way to do things. There's always going to be a better way to do things. There's going to be a worse way. There's going to be a different way. There's going to be a cool way. I don't know. There's just that's one thing I really love about code is that there's just so many different ways. I'm rambling on about this, and I need to stop. Okay. Let's start with this select statement that they had. This is the code that the computer generated, or that the maker of this database was wanting from us to type, or I don't know so much of a want us, or it was an option for us to do this, but we could also do what we did, which is also correct. But let's follow what they've done. I'll go ahead and copy and paste this under our code and put the clauses as we do, just so it can be clearer for us to understand where it's different. Okay. Let's start with our select and compare it to their select. They have customer ID, which we have too. We just put it in a different place. It's the exact same thing. But a very different thing that they did that we did not is use concat. And the keyword concat is a way of putting things together into a string. What I did, which I think is much easier to understand because it's more familiar with us, because we've grown up around math and stuff, so we understand apples plus oranges equals apples and oranges. See, up here we did last name plus comma, so you have last name plus a comma, which also happens to have a space right there because it's wanting it, but last name plus comma plus first name. So I think that this is pretty easy to understand, that we are taking three different things and putting them together. The plus sign isn't being printed out. That is only a thing that is adding stuff, like connecting stuff in. And that's exactly what our concat is doing. What the code that is highlighted, that what it could have been. They use concat, which I didn't want to use for you guys because it's not as easy to understand. But concat, they put C period last name. It's not needed because guess what? The other entity that we were using that was connected to customer, which is sale, the sale entity, doesn't have any attributes called last name or first name. So you didn't need to be, you didn't need to tell the computer, pull this attribute from this entity, because there's only that attribute that doesn't have the same name as another attribute in a different entity. So this was like a waste of space to me, to my style, but anyways. You could have used concat, and then instead of putting plus signs, you could have put commas, and it means the exact same thing. Concat means I want to add, and then you have an attribute, and then a comma is basically like a plus sign, like what we used in our code. Last name plus comma plus first name. That's all that means. It does not need to look scary. It's simple. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. This stuff is extremely foreign to us, so I completely understand. And right here, by the looks of it, is that the maker of the code that they supposedly wanted, or was an option for us, is actually wrong. I'm so glad we're able to look at this and understand that sometimes things are wrong and sometimes we're right. I don't want you guys to do stuff and automatically assume that just because that isn't what you got means that what you did was wrong, because it could be the other way around. But right here, customer name, they did it. I guess you don't need double quote when you have a space in between your column, like for your column name. I guess you can just do single quote. Anyways, they put a space, and in the problem, it didn't have a space. It's kind of like when we were dealing with entity simplified sales, how in the question it had sandal, but in the attribute sandals with an S. So what we did was fine on that part. We put sale date, tax plus shipping as T&S, and I guess they just got a little lazy here and they were like, they'll understand. What it's saying right here is just like tax and shipping, which isn't how they wanted us to print it, but whatever, I guess. We did this the same, this the same, this the same. I was totally thinking I was going to get this wrong, but we didn't. We got it right. And the order by, which was ultimately what it got mad at, that we did not do. So to make this happy again, I am going to type order by, and it wanted us to order by last name. Let's go ahead and look at our data that we have pulled from our database. Customer name column, which we have right here, is concatenated, or how I like to just look at it is like we took 3 different things and we've added them together. So we have last name, first name, and in between these we have comma and a space. And notice how it's in alphabetical order by last name. Then we have customer ID, we have sale date, and our years are all 2015 like we wanted, our months are all the 6th, and our